What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Eric Wilson. We're not in person together anymore. Very sad, and we're also pretty sad because Igor Shesterkin in a little bit of a slump right now. Not too happy with the way that he's playing. I know a lot of Rangers fans have having discourse about it on social media. Is Igor Shesterkin hurting the Rangers right now over the course of his last 5 games? Not the best performances, and if you take a look at Yaroslav Halak, his last 5 games, definitely better than Igor's. So is now the time to have a little bit of a discussion as to whether or not the Rangers should be playing the hot hand, giving Yaroslav Halak a little bit more playing time and letting Igor reset on the bench for a little bit, or should they just ride it out with Igor, knowing that he is one of the best goalies in the world, as he proved last year and for the last several years? So we're going to go ahead and discuss all of that, dive into it. But before we do, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. But without further ado, Eric, how are you doing today, my friend?
Just pretty good overall. That's about it.
Okay, that's about it. So, Eric, what are your thoughts on Igor Shesterkin over the last 5 games? Obviously, last 5 games, goals against 4-4, 4-3, and 3. So that's a whole lot of goals to be letting up over his last 5 games. What do you think the issue is with Igor, and why do you think he's fallen into this little bit of a slump?
I mean, it might just be a little bit of a confidence thing right now. You have like 2 bad games in a row. It's going to keep happening. And, his last 5 games, like you mentioned, 4 goals against, 4 goals against, 4 goals against, and 3-3. His save percentage in those games hasn't been the greatest either. A .810, .862, .862, .897, and a .880. So in his last 5 games, he hasn't been at a .900 save percentage just yet. But it's just like a slump, Igor is Igor. He kind of did the same thing last season around the same time, where he went into a little bit of a slump. And as we all know, he came out of it. You look at his overall stats this season too, and his 41 games that he started, which is a lot, by the way. He was 25, 9, and 7, 2.59 goals against, and a .912 save percentage. So the overall stats are pretty good. It's just right now he's in that little bit of a slump, and he kind of just needs to get out of it right now.
So we're talking about him being in the slump, and this kind of reminds me, though, of the ending of last season, right? We talked about this the other day on the channel, how the Rangers moving into the postseason, they were getting pretty deep, pretty far, but they were giving Igor Shesterkin too much work, too many shots to save, and then he started to get into a little bit of a slump, crumble, and ultimately that led to the Rangers' exit from the postseason. Do you think that this could be happening again? Like, do you think that the Rangers defense is more to blame than Igor right now? Is he facing too many shots and not saving them all because he's not Superman? Or do you think that right now it's purely is just a confidence thing on Igor? I tend to lean towards it's probably on the defense. I think that there's been times where our depth and our defense hasn't been the best and Igor's been facing too many shots, but I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on that.
I mean, I think it's a combination of the two. Like, sure, there are certain games where the defense really just isn't the best and Igor is doing more work than he really should be doing. But then there's also games like our last loss against Winnipeg. Igor only faced 21 shots and he let 4 of them in. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Rangers put up 51 shots and only scored 1 goal. So it's like one of those things where it's like 50-50, where it's like sometimes like Igor is like a little bit to blame. I don't like to blame goalies on this channel. I usually try to stray away from it being their fault. But there are a couple games where Igor's let in some questionable goals, shots that really most NHL goalies would be able to save.
Okay, so let's talk about one goalie who has been saving a good amount of goals on the Rangers. That's Yaroslav Halak. Now, his last 5 games have been much better than Igor's last 5 games. If you take a look at it, last 5 games goals against 3-2, 4-1, and 1. It's a lot better than the 4-4-4, 3 and 3 from Igor Shesterkin. Last 5 games save percentage 0.906, 0.931, 0.875, 0.971, and 0.960. So Yaroslav Halak saving the majority of his goals. Igor Shesterkin last 5 games, none of them in the .900 range, all of them except for 1 in the .900 range for Yaroslav Halak. Now, granted, he hasn't played in nearly as many games this season as Igor Shesterkin. 2023, Halak has played 16 games, 8-6-2 record, 2.64 goals allowed, and .907 save percentage in total. So if you look at his total goals allowed, his save percentage, those averages are not as good as Igor's on the full season, but over the last 5 games, Yaroslav Halak is hot right now and Igor Shesterkin is cold. So, Eric, what do you think the strategy should be here? Play the hot hand or ride it out with Igor and wait for him to catch heat again?
See, it's a little tough because even though Halak's numbers in the last 5 games are better than Igor's, it's kind of like comparing apples and oranges. Igor's going up against teams that are like top of the league, and Halak is playing against teams that really aren't that good. Like if we come across Boston in the schedule, which I'm pretty sure we do soon, I really would rather have Igor in a slump playing over like Halak on a hot streaker right there against a team that has so many offensive like abilities right there. Look, the last 5 games that Alok started, there were like some good teams in there though. We've got Calgary, Carolina, Calgary again, Vegas, and Columbus. So like you got some good teams that Halak has beat, like Carolina, like Vegas. But then you're playing against like bottom of the barrel teams like Columbus right there. So it's like, yeah, his stats are better, but I don't really know if we can compare them like that much. But as for the strategy moving forward, I think as we do approach the postseason, other teams are catching up. Like the playoff race is really heating up. It's getting closer than we really would have wanted it to be. I know like the Islanders are on a little bit of a heater right now. So I think Igor needs to keep playing. He needs to get out of this slump, regain his confidence. But I think we also need to rest him a solid amount. So I don't keep rolling with Igor as the number one. Obviously, he's never going to lose that position, but play Halak a little bit more because he's been doing pretty good too. So like tonight we play against Detroit. There's like really no need for Igor to play that game. Halak can come in there and we should hopefully be able to pick up an easy win against a team that's really not that great. So like games like that where it's like, unless you're playing against a top team in the league, you should be able to feel comfortable with Halak in net. So play him a little bit more, but still let Igor get his practice in.
Right. And so looking ahead to the postseason, we alluded to this a little bit earlier, but when you're looking at the postseason, what's your confidence level for Igor Shesterkin? Now, I think obviously he's going to come out of the slump. I think he's going to be just fine. But considering last season, how things went towards the end of the postseason, considering the slump that Igor's in right now, do you think that we could maybe see similar issues arise in this year's postseason? Of course, Igor Shesterkin facing too many shots, the depth being a problem on the Rangers, the defense maybe not doing the best as we get deeper into the postseason, stamina and endurance being a problem. Do you think it'll be a problem once again once we reach the 2023 postseason?
I mean, it might be. It depends on how much we play Igor throughout like the remainder of the season. What do we got? Like 30 games left, 20 games left, somewhere in that range. So we're coming to the end of the season like very, very quickly. And Igor is going to need to be well rested because that was one of the biggest problems last season where we played Igor like 80% of the season. And then we played a really deep playoff run and he just kind of got tired out. So that's why we do need to start playing Halak a little bit more. And I think it could be a problem. But, as we're well aware, Chris Drury, as the trade deadline approaches, is like fixing the team up a little bit. We know he's not done. Apparently, we're still in on Kane. That's something to hear. Um, and a couple other players might come in and out as well. So we might be looking at a very different team come the postseason as well. But hopefully, all the cracks in the lineup will be filled. Igor will be well rested, and we should be ready to make a deep playoff run.
That is the hope and that is the dream. We'll see what else Chris Drury has in store. You like to say it, Eric. He's got his dark magic or whatever. He always pulls something out of the rabbit out of the hat. And who knows, maybe we'll do another Patrick Kane episode tomorrow because sounds like the Rangers are in hot pursuit of the Chicago Blackhawks. So we'll see, and we'll keep you posted on all of that right here on the channel, Fireside Rangers. So make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. Leave a like if you did enjoy this episode and comment your thoughts on Igor Shesterkin and Yaroslav Halak down below in the comment section. But that wraps this one up. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a good one, and let's go Rangers.
The Rangers.